Good evening, and welcome to the Atlantic Beach Candidate Forum. I want to thank you for attending tonight's forum, and I want to thank the candidates for being here tonight to participate. I'm Maria Mark, President of Beaches Watch. I'll be the host and moderator for tonight's forum. In case you don't know about our organization, Beaches Watch is a nonpartisan, nonprofit civic organization that was founded in 2004. Our mission is to educate and involve citizens in the decisions that affect the future of our beaches communities of Atlantic Beach, Neptune Beach, and Jacksonville Beach. Beaches Watch does not endorse candidates. Since 2004, we have been hosting nonpartisan candidate forums so voters can learn more about the candidates and make an informed decision when you vote. As an added service, we have posted additional election information on our website. Information includes candidate websites and candidate answers in writing to questions on specific Atlantic Beach issues and concerns. We will also be posting the video from tonight's forum on our website, and we hope you will encourage anyone who did not attend tonight's forum to watch it before they vote. Additionally, there are numerous amendments on our ballot. Atlantic Beach has one charter amendment, Duval County has 2 charter amendments, and the state has 6 constitutional amendments. So we have also provided information about the Atlantic Beach Charter Amendment as well as the county and state amendments. We hope you will visit our website at beacheswatch.com to take advantage of these resources we are providing you so you can make an informed decision when you vote. Tonight's format will last about 1.5 hours, and all candidates will have 2 minutes to answer each question and 2 minutes for closing statements. There will not be time allocated for rebuttals. However, candidates can use a portion of their question response time to provide rebuttal to a previous question. If you wish to submit a question to be directed to all the candidates, you can enter your question in the Zoom chat box. Please understand that due to the limited amount of time, we may not be able to ask all the questions submitted by the audience. At this time, I would like to introduce our candidates. Our mayor candidates, Mr. Rick Carper, incumbent, Ms. Ellen Glasser, and Ms. Terry Ray. For Commissioner Seat 2, candidates, Mr. Bruce Bowl and Mr. Frank Cashman. Commissioner Seat 3, candidates, Ms. Lisa Goodman and Dr. Michael Waters. The order that the candidates will be answering tonight's questions was determined prior to the forum, and the order will be rotated to allow each candidate the opportunity to answer a question first. And please make sure there are no flying insects in your house tonight. Okay, so we're ready to start. The rotation for our first question, we will begin with Mr. Rick Carper, Ms. Ellen Glasser, Ms. Terry Ray, Mr. Bowl, Mr. Cashman, Ms. Goodrich, and Dr. Waters. The first question is, what qualifications in terms of education, experience, and prior community service, particularly here at the beaches, do you bring to your candidacy for public office? Mr. Carper?
I have bachelor's and master's degrees in mechanical engineering, however, both were a very long time ago. I am a licensed professional engineer, a civil engineer, served as the Atlantic Beach Public Works Director and city engineer for 10 years. Have been very involved with the city in workshops and meetings since that time. Did 4 years of consulting after retiring from the city. I'm a retired naval officer, had command of the guided missile frigate USS Oliver Hazard Berry, which is what brought us, my family, here to Mayport, Florida. We've lived in Atlantic Beach since 1997. My citizen involvement has included many years of involvement with the Beaches Resource Center, the full service school component located at Fletcher High School, which provides services to all students that live at the beach, regardless whether they're in public or private schools. That's my 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Glasser?
Hi, everybody. Thanks to Beaches Watch and all of your team for doing this year after year. I know it's really great for the community to hear from the candidates. And so many of the folks that come to Beaches Watch meetings know me because I've presented many times in the past. So hello to all of my friends out there. I had a storied career in the FBI, and I was transferred here. It was my last office in 1999, and I continued to work for the FBI until I retired in 2006. And after that, I got very involved in the community. Besides my career, I mean, I'm married to a retired Navy captain in the Naval Reserves. So the military is key to me, and I have 6 children, 4 of my own and 2 steps. So the family aspects of Atlantic Beach are what really drew me to this city. I have a couple of degrees from Duke University, also a long time ago. And then after I retired, I earned my doctorate in leadership from the University of North Florida, go Ospreys. And I taught for 7 years there in the criminal justice department. And I have a real affinity for young people, which I've expressed throughout my time as mayor. I've been involved with 2 boards, both the Code Enforcement Board and the Community Development Board here in Atlantic Beach, which really helped me to understand how the city works. I've done a lot of volunteer service and have been very involved with Beaches Habitat. I sit on the Crime Commission for the City of Jacksonville and other groups like that. So I'm honored to be the mayor. As the sitting mayor, I know what the job is. I am very familiar with what my lane is in terms of not fixing, not trying to run the city or administer the departments. And I want to thank our city team for all of their hard work. They are awesome individuals who do a wonderful job. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Ray?
Well, first, I'd like to echo what Ellen said. Thank you, Beaches Watch. What a feat to pull together in this crazy time of COVID in this crazy year of 2020. So my background is obviously quite different than the other 2 candidates, and I call it uniquely different. I don't say it's better or worse. Let's let the voters decide if that, what their choice is. But my background is chemical, mechanical engineering, chemistry, and computer science. And let's just face it, what does that really mean? It just means I know how to run factories, I know how to run businesses, and I know how to solve problems. So I had a long career in the pulp and paper industry. And then I went on and retired from there and started my own business because my family always had businesses. And I understand the joy and hard work of running a business. So, but in between those 2, I actually got called back to service to help mining companies, and that we're in the middle of, if everybody remembers, when there were a lot of coal mining accidents. And it was an extremely difficult time for the industry, and they needed a manufacturing director, somebody that knew how to prepare crisis plans, knew how to prepare facilities for what the inevitable is. And then of course, at that same time, we went into the pandemic of 09 and 010. And so I helped a lot of them with the preparation for the pandemic. So kind of you boil all that down, what does that mean? It's a career of having to run to financial numbers, running to performance targets in production, learning how to work with other teams. Because let's face it, when they'd send me to a paper mill, the Wilmington, North Carolina paper mill that was probably going to be shut down unless we could salvage it, that required working with others. And then let's talk about my company. It's kind of customer delight. And I talk a lot about getting our city back working for us. My slogan's put residents first. But, again, it's, my company was successful, the first and only and best, because we knew how to have customer delight. And I think that's important for a city. I think it's important for any organization. So again, I go back to, I'm a uniquely qualified candidate, and we'll let the voters decide. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bowl?
Yes, I'm just echoing. I appreciate the Beaches Watches and what they do. And I think anytime you can get information out there, that's a good thing. I just like to say I'm like Rick, a career naval officer, 30 years, retired captain. But a little bit different. I think the reason that I'm here tonight is because I raised 3 daughters here in Atlantic Beach, and I want to give something back. And I think I have a kind of a unique skill set. Number one, not just being in the Navy, but I had some unique jobs in the Navy, to include being in charge of police and fire departments in the Southeast. In other words, all 26 bases. Also in the same job, I was hit with Katrina and Wilma and was the Navy's response officer for both of those. So I would say that doing a year and a half of hurricane coming back and making them functional, I think that's a unique thing for me. I currently am involved in the city on the General Pension Board now. I would be more than happy to continue that, but the state of Florida says that I can't do both. So I think that I think my skill set would be good on the commission. I've stood in front of the commission before and said, put me in the best spot that you think I can help Atlantic Beach. And that's what I'm doing tonight. I'm in the best spot that I think I can help Atlantic Beach. I was a graduate of the United States Naval Academy. I have a master's degree in political science from Auburn. That, if you ask an Alabama person, they would probably say that's not worth a whole lot, and I get that. Also have degrees from the Naval War College and Naval Air Command and Staff College. But most importantly, I think that what makes me run is I'm endorsed by the National Organization of Women. I'm endorsed by the Northeast Florida Realtors. And most importantly, I'm endorsed by all the guys on Shell Street. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Cashman? Unmute, please.
All right, just learning this. Okay, I started my career in public service at the age of 15 with the Neptune Beach Volunteer Fire Department. From there, I joined the the St. Augustine Police Department at the age of 19, becoming the youngest police officer that the city of St. Augustine has ever hired. From there, during that time, I joined the Florida Army National Guard and ended up as a chief warrant officer flying helicopters. I have spent almost 37 years in law enforcement, doing a variety of things. This just seems like the natural progression for me to give back to the citizens of the Beaches community. I was born and raised here, went to Atlantic Beach Elementary, went to Fletcher High School. Also, I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice management, and working for the Neptune Beach Police Department for as long as I did gives you a unique insight to all of the organizations or the departments in the city. So I understand how the city runs and know the day-to-day operations. I just, like I said, I feel that this is the next step in my service to the community. And that's my time. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Goodrich.
Hi, first I want to say thanks to the Beaches Watch for gathering us for this forum. My name is Lisa Goodrich. I'm running for Atlantic Beach Commission Seat 3. I have a deep and rich history in community and civic engagement since my family moved here in 1993. I have been instrumental in several different organizations directly affecting the beaches area and specifically Atlantic Beach. I was part of the inaugural committee to bring First Night to Atlantic Beach many, many years ago. A small group of us had a huge undertaking to bring that whole event to life for the community citywide. I served on the Beaches Fine Arts Series for 6 years, culminating in my role as president of the board there, where I tripled their budget and impact to the city. From there, I worked with the Cultural Council of Greater Jacksonville as a grant panelist, which was charged with reviewing and recommending for funding organizations in the arts as a steward of the taxpayers' contribution to the arts, the $3 million budget that we were charged with distributing there. That affected several organizations: Beach's Fine Arts Series, Players by the Sea, Atlantic Beach Experimental Theater, and the Beach's Historical Museum. I was a volunteer at the Gail Baker Center before it was the Gail Baker Center, when Miss Baker was still alive. I advise the community now on Shakespeare in the Park, and I've been active and engaged, as I said, ever since. I looked at that this is my time to really give back on a deeper level. I am currently attending meetings and workshops with the city, making time to visit and meet with different city staff. So I have a solid foundation on how our city works, and I've just made it my business to always be involved. So I'm looking forward to serving the community in this capacity. Thanks.
Thank you. And Dr. Waters. Unmute, please. I think you're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Thank you so much for Beach's Watch for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be with y'all. What motivated me to run for this office is I've lived here for 25 years, and it's always been a very peaceful, tranquil, small beach town that I've always loved and fell in love with the first time I ever looked at it. I think things are changing a little bit, and I have a lot of I have a lot of solutions that I want to be a voice for the residents, and I want to stand up for them and be heard. My education, I grew up in the west side of Jacksonville, went to Episcopal High School. All through high school, worked for my dad's pharmacy and Parking King Pharmacy in Riverside, where we served the community. Went away to UAB in Birmingham to pursue a career in medicine. I went there for college med school residency. I was chief resident there my last year. I'm not the smartest guy there, but I was the one that could represent the attendings and the students and the specialists in front of our department. And I have built a practice here for 25 years with Baptist Primary Care on Atlantic Boulevard. I see a lot of people. I probably see 500 people a month of all walks of life, all ages, all genders, political, everything. And I think that experience in learning from people when they come to me and they have a problem, they have a disease, they have a concern, it's my job to get it done. And I take it very seriously. And if I cannot help them, we'll get someone that can help them. Prior to community service, I was the SAC committee chairman for several years for ABE. I was a FAY board member for several years. I built Habitat for Humanity, and I also have built a Bible study for the last 20 years here in Atlantic Beach. Over a few hundred men have joined in all this time. So thank you so much.
Thank you. The next order will be Mr. Cashman, Mr. Bowl, Dr. Waters, Ms. Goodrich, Ms. Glasser, Ms. Ray, and Mr. Carper. And the second question is, what do you think are the two most important issues facing Atlantic Beach, and how would you propose to address those issues? Please be specific. Dr. Waters, if you can.
I'm sorry.
The mic. Thank you. And we'll start with Mr. Cashman.
Well, I don't know of any major issues that we have here in the city. Certainly, being a member of the council would try and find the best solutions given the information at hand. Probably the biggest thing that I can think of is our parking issues in the downtown area and some of the other areas. We just have to figure out what is going to be the best solution for those and look at all of the possibilities. I talk with several of the people in the city, and everybody seems to be relatively happy with what's going on. I don't have, again, any issues. So I will yield my time.
Thank you. Mr. Bowl?
Yes, two major issues. I think I would list number one. I'm a advocate of the 2018 stormwater projects. I think that global warming is a real thing that we here in Atlantic Beach are going to be faced with acutely. I'm not just talking on the ocean side, but obviously the marsh. I have seen the results of poor planning. I've seen municipalities that prepared for this. I've seen municipalities who haven't, and I've been on the ground. So that's real for me. I see we've got a meeting coming up here for a couple of the streets that are perennially flooded. It doesn't take much for you to drive down Jack's Beach after a large rain and see what happened. Stormwater, pervious land, these are probably on the top of my list. I always say it's a lot harder to spend $1 that you're going to see the benefits 10, 20, 30 years from now, but sometimes you have to do that. So I would put that on the top of my list. I would echo what Frank said about parking. I talk to people who walk down, I live on Seminole, and I talk to a lot of people, and one of their issues is parking. But I'd like to, I think, and I've seen some of the other candidates, their view, everybody's got an opinion on town center parking. I get that. I think I'm more of the old school in that if we enforce the rules, regulations, and laws that we currently have in effect, I think that will bring some of the desired results. I make a point of riding my bike down to 18th and 19th Street daily, and I see the police presence. I also see the amount of people down there. One thing that my daughter brought to my attention was she lives on the other side of Mayport, and she wants to come to the beach, and she's a citizen of Atlantic Beach. Where does she park? Well, they go to good beaches. Okay, they're gonna find them. So I think we have to think about all the citizens of Atlantic Beach and where they do and what they are entitled to as citizens of Florida and Atlantic Beach. So thank you for the time.
Thank you. Dr. Waters?
I think that my three major priorities are parking, safety, and fiscal responsibility. I feel like we have had issues with parking for the last few years. I feel like it's because we are the only beach that's free parking versus Jackson, Neptune, and Hannah. I think that I have solutions, and the parking committee, who was present for over a year and a half, a lot of solutions, a lot of really good solutions to find a balance between visitors to Atlantic Beach and the residents themselves. And they and I feel like we have presented this for a while and has been unheard and not acted upon. And now we have it permeating virtually every beach access, where in the first block or two from the ocean are cars and blocking driveways and people trying to put up structures to block parking. So it is increased traffic, it is the noise, and I really have some solutions. I mean, I think that Atlantic Beach residents who pay taxes should have a free decal on their car. And I think that if you do not, you need to pay the $5 that the other beaches pay. And I think that we need to make the major thing that needs to start this off is getting a new survey for beach renourishment. I mean, I am all about beach renourishment. And we have got to have an updated survey. I've heard there's some discrepancies with the old one. I think it may not have counted all the parking spots that are available for it. And so once we get that, I think we can spread the wealth a little bit to other streets in Atlantic Beach and not just 2 or 3 really busy ones. Fiscal responsibility is something I'm kind of learning a lot in the last several weeks. And I just have questions about the way when I think our revenue is extremely good here and the lack of transparency. And I think that the way we are spending money and increasing taxes, I have some questions about, but I will leave that hopefully to another topic on budget. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Goodrich?
Thank you. The two issues that are, I think, most important and should be most important to all of Atlantic Beach are the issues of sustainability and resiliency. The ways in which we deal with these issues affect every single neighborhood, and they color every other issue. So I think that it's absolutely critical that we have a strong and solid plan. As a coastal community, rising sea level, increased rainfall, and storm frequency are very real concerns that we need to pay attention to. It's, again, important that we have a real solid plan. To make sure that I was well versed on this, well, first of all, as I said before, I've always attended city meetings, and last November I attended the Beaches Watch meeting where our city manager Shane Corbin and city engineer Steve Swan presented the vulnerability assessment. And I know that I was, alarmed at the findings in that assessment, and rightfully so. I know right now that they are preparing for an adaptability assessment. I met with Steve Swan recently to kind of ask him about that and how it's going and what the plan is. They're in the process right now of obtaining grants to make sure that they can produce that adaptability assessment. And then the next step would be an implementation with the goal of keeping people in their homes and water out of their homes. So we're winning these grants with our focus on data-driven planning. Again, I think that our city manager and our city engineer, Steve Swan, are doing a great job. I asked him how I could help if I were a city commissioner. And a lot of these grants are going to require a city match. So we have to make sure that our budget is up to par so that we can, again, make sure that we're dealing with the issues of sustainability and resiliency. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Glasser.
Sorry about that. I hope there's a question about parking and about the budget, so I can address those. But those weren't the two that were the top on my list. Thanks, Lisa, for talking about what the city's been doing, and thanks, Frank, for your service with the Neptune Beach Police Department. Appreciate that. My top two are public safety, and there are a few prongs to that. And then my second top priority is resiliency. So with public safety, we are still in a state of emergency under this COVID environment. And I mean, this is a very pressing thing. It's very dynamic and fluid, but it's not going away anytime soon. So the safety of our residents is really paramount. So not only does public safety include dealing with that, it includes dealing with hurricanes. And we've gotten a lot of practice and we've dealt with the real thing many, many times. I'm pretty satisfied with our emergency preparedness in Atlantic Beach and in the county. But whenever that happens, we have to deal with the cleanup, the preparation. So we did a full beach renourishment in 2018, and we have actually activated the Emergency Operations Center twice this year for hurricanes. So the police, we have a great police department. We are not about defunding our police in Atlantic Beach. I give a lot of credit to Chief Cook and to Chief Walilo for being very community oriented so that they are accessible in our community. And I could talk all day long about our safe community. Resiliency, it's got many facets to it. Short and long-term infrastructure. Yes, it's taken us 3 years to get to the aquatic gardens project to try to address the serious flooding that happened there in 2015, I believe, that ruined a lot of homes. So we're working on our physical environment with projects, our environmental issues to help resiliency. That's protecting our trees, our coasts, our marsh, and sea level rise is right up there. So thanks, Lisa, for talking about that.
Thank you. Ms. Ray.
Well, thank you for the great question. So I can't limit it to two, it has to be three. So my first one is safe streets and neighborhoods. And let me just describe what that means. That means crime is on the rise, and it means my neighbors and friends cannot let their children walk their dogs, ride their scooters, and bicyclists are having near-miss accidents, if not accidents. I mean, this is a serious issue in our street. We have traffic over the capacity of our little one-lane streets. I agree with Ellen, our police are fabulous. This has nothing to do with our police department, but we have a crowd and congestion problem that exceeds the capacity of Atlantic Beach, and we have to come up with a solution. I feel I'm the right one to do that. Second one is finance. Let me just start with, we've had a $10.8 million increase in our budget over the last 3 years. That's a 34.5% increase in our operating and our expenditure budget. Where did that money go? I've dug through the finances probably more than anybody because that's my career, was having to answer for every dollar I asked for and spent. Our reserves have been cut. I think that's the wrong direction. We're watching Louisiana get hit by a third storm this season. I don't think a coastal city should consider cutting reserves at any time, at any way. And the last subject I would say is, let's just fix these problems. We talked about town center paid parking. I mean, if we could put a rover on Mars, I don't understand how 13 months later we can't fix town center paid parking within an afternoon meeting. And again, when I say fix it, I'm talking about stickers for residents. Let's look at a secondary source. I mean, to get to the table and let's talk to the Neptune Beach people. I understand they run it. It's a cash cow for them. We're going to have to live with it. But, we can look at options. And somebody like me that's had a career of 3 a.m. decisions, deciding, looking around with me and my 4 team members and saying, how are we going to fix this? You come up with the best way and the best solution. And I think there's opportunities with that and city flooding. 4 city flooding plans over 25 years, and we still have the same neighborhoods flooding. We need the right solutions. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Carper. Unmute, please. Unmute.
Wrong button. Okay, I'm going to stick with 2 issues, although your written questions had 3. First one is maintain the small town livability of Atlantic Beach. We're a cul-de-sac community, and yes, as mentioned by several people, we get a lot of non-Atlantic Beach residents that want to come here and use our fabulous facilities, not just our beaches, but our wonderful city park systems. Fact of life, we're not going to turn them around. We can help them find other places, but we, the city, need to focus on what we can do to make our facilities meet our needs, as well as handle the overflow that is going to come here. Atlantic Beach is a friendly, like I said, small town community, but it's never going to be the place that I moved to in 1997. We have grown, and we're going to continue to have these desires. The other second issue is addressing infrastructure, which ties right into resiliency, ties into sustainability. We have, over the last 5-6 years, not spent the money we should be spending on maintaining the infrastructure systems we have. We've made a turnaround this budget, the one just approved, over $1.4 million just in water projects this year. We need to continue that. I think an engineers on the commission needs to be there to help focus on that. We need to look hard at our streets. We need to continue the funding level to maintain our streets. Resurfacing a street in front of somebody's house is the first thing and the one most noticed by residents around you. They don't notice the pipes in the ground once they're buried. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next order will be Ms. Goodrich, Dr. Waters, Ms. Ray, Mr. Carper, Ms. Glasser, Mr. Bull, and Mr. Cashman. And it's a nice segue because most of you mentioned budgets. So if next year's budget shows a shortfall, what adjustments would you propose to ensure levels of service remain the same? Ms. Goodrich.
Thank you. That's a great question. Well, that question would depend on the frequency and the magnitude. If it's a one-off shortfall because of a hurricane or a pandemic, we really would have to tighten our belts or consider a distribution from our reserves. If it's a long-term, across-the-board issue that is going to be systemic, it's going to be persistent. If property values go down and it just looks like it's going to be a long-term thing, then we would probably have to look at cuts in all departments except, in my opinion, public safety. Our taxes here are low in Atlantic Beach compared to Jacksonville Beach, Neptune Beach, and the city of Jacksonville. Our taxes are the lowest. If raising taxes to invest in our community appeared to be our very only option, I would put it to a vote, and that would be the very last option, and only if the community voted yes, that's what they wanted to do. I was concerned when there were questions raised about our debt, so I talked with Melissa Burns, our finance director. It looks like we're actually on par with other cities our size as far as our debt load goes. we're right on par with cities that have utilities, and we are actually below on government issues. We did incur some debt under our previous city manager to purchase a vac con truck that will be paid off in 2022, and to purchase the environmentally sensitive land at Selva Preserve that will be paid off in 2033. That was his choice at the time. We did, of course, pass a balanced budget, which we were required to do by law. We did put money back into our reserves this year. And beyond that, a problem that I think we really need to look at is when the Better Jacksonville funding sunsets in 2030, how will we replace the $1.5 million that we receive from the city now? So I think that that's an excellent question.
Thank you.
And thanks for your time.
Thank you. Dr. Waters?
Thank you. Yes, when looking at the budget, it's one of the newer issues that I've been looking at the last couple of months that have become a lot more important to me. I know that our city manager has got to collect data, police, fire, streets, sanitation, flood, and find options for us and go to the commission and present it. I think there's been a little bit of a lack of transparency with what has been done. A few different types of spending were kind of out of the blue. I guess a couple questions I have. You know, this year's budget, we have a proposed budget, but we only have proposed budget numbers from last year to compare it to. I think taxpayers want to know how well did the city done since working with that budget last year, and we don't even have that exact numbers. Property value has gone up a lot, like 7% in the last year. But property taxes, well, I mean, when it went up 7% last year, property taxes revenue made $500,000. Why did the commission increase taxes 5.5% when the revenue was elevated? You know, Atlantic Beach has $2 billion of taxable land values. We bring in over $6.5 million of tax revenue. And I've always been the person that, you know, if you don't have it, you don't spend it. If you have it, we got to look to the future, 5 years out, 10 years out, and plan for it. Yes, we have a Navy base, we have the ocean, we have COVID, we have, you know, issues that we may have to deal with in the future. But if you have enough for the long term, then I think we need to just strategically triage how we spend our money and get the input of the whole commission and the city manager, and maybe even a strategic planning with a facilitator. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Ray?
So I'm just going to restate the question to make sure everybody kind of follows. So the question, as I understood it, was what would we do if we have a shortfall, and where would we look to cut? So again, I don't know that that's a question if. I think we already know we've had shortfalls. We've had shortfalls in revenue to budget every year in the last couple years. And we've actually budgeted, for the first time in the last 2 years, we budgeted to expenditures higher than revenue. So we know this. We knew before COVID we were running below budgeted revenue numbers. And part of it is, and I love Lisa's ideas and things like that, but the difference is we do have a lower tax millage rate, but our property values are significantly higher. We had an opportunity just a few weeks ago for the commission to roll back the millage rate. And we all know that because we got in February and March alerts on our phone from news media that said Florida insurance, homeowners insurance, was going to rise 25 to 35%. If there was the right time, like it was in 2016, to roll back millage, it would have been now. I mean, as a good faith offer. The other part of finances is most cities levy. You're required to levy in the budgeting process 95% of the expected revenue from property taxes. We leverage 98%, and so we fall short every year. So we're out of the gates of a budget. If all the historical and information feeding the budget was correct, which it is not, and we've been pointing that out routinely, but if it was correct, we've already started out below the gate, behind the 8 ball on meeting these finances. So I just think, again, I come from a different background where I'd answer for every penny I asked for and every penny I'd spend, and I had to be accountable for that. And you either got a raise and a promotion or you got fired. And And so I look at these numbers in this $10.8 million increase and 34% increase. And folks, Atlantic Beach is the same size. It's the same dimensions. We have about the same population. So I don't know how we can answer for that kind of a magnitude of jump without some kind of ROI or justification. And why weren't we, the residents, told? Thank you.
Thank you. And may I remind the candidates to please mute your mics if you are not speaking. Dr. Waters, if you can mute your mic, thank you. Mr. Carper, you're next.
Okay, I really haven't heard many specifics about what people would cut from the budget, so I'll start off there. If we had a significant revenue shortfall caused by continuing COVID or other issues, the first thing I would look at is all the capital projects that are in the current budget or in the 5-year plans going out. And as long as it's not stormwater, flood control related, or water or sewer related, reevaluate all those capital projects and probably defer many of them. I would also look at all the capital purchases such as vehicles, new computers, decide, is this equipment really necessary? If it's not, then don't buy it this year. Look at the vacant positions we have on staff. If we've been managing without that position, then maybe we don't fill that position this year. One thing I would not consider is staff furloughs, would not consider any layoffs, and certainly not consider pension holidays. The millage rate that Atlantic Beach pays, as noted, is the lowest in the county. My personal taxes this year went up $2 a month on my house. Okay, if the commission had decided to go to the rollback rate as referenced earlier, then my taxes would have dropped $4 a month. So I think overall, this would not have made a lot of difference to people paying their home insurance. I think the city infrastructure is getting older, and we're going to be paying more maintenance dollars in the future. And we have to accept that fact that we need that income from the property tax increases to help pay for that general fund expense of maintenance. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Glasser. Mr. Carper, could you mute your mic, please?
Thanks, Maria. So I agree with most of what Rick just said, especially about what would we cut if there was a shortfall next year. But I want to respond to a couple of things that were said before. One is I definitely would dispute the statement that crime is on the rise. And I can point people to reports, the uniform crime reports for our city. And that is for our city. Every beach city has a different dynamic. It's just like Jacksonville does. I'm happy to provide that. I also would refute the fact that we're not transparent in the budget. We've had lots of workshops. Many questions were raised. Very few people participated in it. And it's confusing stuff. So I want to make a few points about this COVID environment. So we're looking at potentially a $3 billion revenue shortfall from the state. So it's very important that we project ahead in terms of what we might have to do to have a balanced budget. But we did a really good job this year. We do have a balanced budget. We did not raise the property tax rate. So when Dr. Waters talks about, I'm not sure where the 5.5% comes from. When you have such a great tax base, people are paying more taxes because their property is worth more. And I also don't really know how to respond to sort of the market forces of the insurance industry, because that's really, I mean, we balance our own budget for the services we provide. So I want to make a distinction between the general fund, where the ad valorem taxes go, and the operating fund, which is mostly enterprise funds. These are self-supporting. So we had a number of projects that had to be carried over this year because we were not able to do them because of the COVID climate. These are serious water and sewer projects. Again, these are self-supporting funds. So the increases in that budget come out of that reserve, not the general fund reserve. And these projects need to move forward. So we have serious upgrades to our water treatment plants. We're doing stormwater force main replacements. We had to budget for aquatic gardens. We had to bring the technology up to speed. So it's very complicated, and I appreciate our finance director's efforts and the city managers for doing a great job this year.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Glasser. Thank you. Mr. Bowl?
Yes, again, thanks. And I'll echo a few things that, as my fellow candidates have mentioned, but I want to take maybe a moderately different perspective. I sit on the General Pension Board here currently in Atlantic Beach, and we've done a real good job, I think, of funding pensions. I've looked across the spectrum of cities our size, and so I think we're doing a good job there. In the macro view, I'm currently a federal government contractor, and I can tell you that when it comes down to cutting services, capital projects, the one thing you never want to hear is somebody say, I think, I kind of know, I'm sure. I'll tell you that I'm a metrics guy, and I will sit down and go through the numbers and go through the statistics. And I take a more holistic approach, I think. I agree, as I stated before, my number one priority is the stormwater. But on the other hand, I think when you look at cuts, you have to look at it across the board. A holistic approach. Where are big cost centers? You go to the large cost centers across the board and see what the outcome is on the other side. Now, some people would say, well, you can't touch public safety. You can't touch X, Y, and Z. I guess I'm on a different plane. I want to see what the input and the output is. I think we've got a very dynamic community. I know I've taken a look at the numbers. I think we're lucky to be in the financial situation that we are. I would continue a lot of the things that the city currently is doing, but I would also, I would be the guy that's going to go back and look at the numbers and take a look at what our input and what our output is. So, we're all going to have priorities. I understand that. I'm going to yield my time, but I think you lay out everything and take a look across the board. Thanks.
Thank you. And just for the record, there is no yielding your time, but I appreciate the generosity there.
No problem.
Okay, Mr. Cashman.
Okay, I pretty much want to echo what everyone else has said, that we need to curtail spending where we can, but if we do have a shortfall, raising the millage rate would be my last line. There are other places that we can cut money, like Rick said, through our capital projects. That can we push them back, or is it something that's got to be taken care of now? Obviously, if it's something that's a priority, then it must be taken care of. Agree with Bruce that spending needs to be looked at in all areas. Wherever we can save a dime, that's what we need to do. I was chairman of the pension board for the Neptune Beach Police Department for over 10 years and understand how the money works. So I guess the biggest thing is to just make sure that we're spending our money wisely, and if we can find money through grants or areas like that, then whatever we can do to assist the city. Forgive me, I got a cramp.
Thank you. Okay, our next rotation will be Mr. Carper, Ms. Glasser, Ms. Ray, Mr. Cashman, Mr. Bowl, Dr. Waters, and Ms. Goodrich. So our next question actually touches on the other issues that you have brought up, and that is regarding coastal resiliency. So what policy and codes would you implement to ensure that the city is prepared with regard to coastal resiliency? Mr. Carper?
The city has a grant application in right now to continue on they completed a vulnerability assessment in 2019. They need to continue on now to develop the adaptation plan. The Florida Department of Economic Opportunity has a roadmap, if you will, for the areas to focus on. We, the city, need to take that roadmap and use it to develop an Atlantic Beach specific plan. We need to look at the specifically our land development regulations and our comprehensive plan to see what we can do to minimize impacts and we need to be looking specifically at the west side of town. Atlantic Beach will be impacted most greatly from the intercoastal waterway side by sea level rise. We need to be looking at potentially partnerships with organizations such as the Public Trust or North Florida Land Trust into acquiring property or getting conservation easements over property that are along the marsh so that it cannot be developed. We need to look at our building codes to make sure we're requiring buildings be built that are resistant to sea level rise, to stormwater driven flooding. We need to help the people over there, possibly looking at grants for adaptation of existing structures, because there are a lot of structures on the west side of town that have been there for many years when building codes were much less strenuous than they are now. We, the city, are just really beginning to go down this path of studying what we actually have to do, but the impact to the people, the flooding in the homes are the areas we need to look at most. Thank you.
Thank you. And remember to mute your mic. Thank you. Ms. Glasser?
Thanks, Maria. So again, I don't disagree with very much that Rick said, so I'm going to expand on it a little bit and say that during my term as mayor, this is when we did the vulnerability assessment. We hired Steve Swan, who was an excellent city engineer. He's applying for lots of grants, working on many of the projects that we have queued up. And we are in the midst of an adaptation assessment, which we got a grant to do. We have focused very much on sea level rise, the impact of it. And Rick is correct in terms of the impact of flooding along Sherman and Hopkins Creek and the west side of the city. And we do have projects queued up for that. I'm just gonna come right out with it. Ms. Ray has talked about how she's gonna fix flooding, and I've read her stormwater plan, and I just wanna make it really clear. One of the things that she has talked about is using our passive parks, Howell Park and Johansson Park, as potentially retention ponds. I told her in a previous forum, I didn't think that would go over very well in our city, and I was really discouraged when I read the report to see that they were described as muddy messes of parks that no one uses, and that they had no passive use attraction. I think there are other places that we can look at that we could use for water retention. And part of that's going to happen with the aquatic gardens upgrade that's happening, but these things take time. So we do have projects queued up 10 years, and many of the locations that we've talked about, we would probably all agree on. But flooding is a serious issue in our city, and we just have to remain vigilant. But I'm very proud of what our team has done thus far with this. And this is our city manager, our city engineer, our public works director. We don't need to tell them how to do their jobs. They do an excellent job of it. And this is an issue we have to all address in coastal communities. So thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Ray?
Well, imagine I may have a long comment and may need more than 2 minutes. First of all, let me just go back to the crime. So when Safer Watch stopped in early this year, I got an alternate source. So when I hear crime is not on the rise, imagine my surprise. So in the last 7 days, within 3 miles of my home, and granted, some may be in, some may be out of Atlantic Beach, we'd had 5 burglary and thefts, 8 suspicious people reports, 1 shooting, 2 assault, and 1 arrest. So if that's the metric, if that's the bar for crime is not on the rise in the last 7 days, I think I've already found Bigfoot. So, and let me just talk to Ellen's comment about the flooding plan. Look, I didn't say I was going to solve flooding, but what I did say is there's a lot of best practices out there with simple solutions, one of which is taking existing parks that are not usable and in most days are flooded, muddy, mosquito-infested messes. And they are not used. And you know why? Because I spent 10 hours out at each one of those parks measuring the traffic flow. And guess what? There wasn't much. And the people that did come out and say, I got mosquito bit and run out. Our parks are fabulous. They're an asset treasured beyond none for me in our city. But creating beautiful passive use, retention, dual function parks with existing assets is cost effective, a reasonable and simple solution that somebody like me from the outside could look at in 5 minutes. It's kind of like when I go out to Dutton Island, which I did today, and the whole asphalt roadway out there has been eroding into our natural preserve and toxifying the entire sanctity of this beautiful preserve. So, when we say we're all in for environment and all of that, I mean, we have to be all in, and we have to see the simple things as well as the more difficult things. Sure, sea rise, there's dispute on the science, whether it rises 6 inches in 100 years or 6 inches in 10. We don't know. We've got a lot of people studying it, but I'm just saying that we have to get serious and look at all solutions, not what people in the neighborhood tell us they do or do not want. Let's find the right solution.
Thank you, Ms. Ray.
Thank you.
Mr. Cashman?
Well, I'm not an engineer, but I would certainly listen to the engineers and find out what the best solutions are and best practices to accomplish our goals. I don't believe using our park space as retention ponds is probably a good thing. They need to be kept for public use. I understand the survey is going on, so again, I'm for listening to the experts and making sure that we do everything that we can within budget to work on helping our citizens. I know a lot of people off of Mayport Road have issues with flooding, and we need to address those things. And if our studies say that there's a project that we need to do, then let's get it done if we can afford it. So.
Thank you. Mr. Bull?
Yes, thanks. I'm going to be a little bit more pragmatic in that I've written grants to the federal government and won grants. I think that climate change and seawater issues, pervious land, those are all things that are currently hot button issues, which they should be. I think there's money out there to be had for Atlantic Beach. So one of my priorities would be looking for that and supplementing what we already have. I think this is a critical issue. I'll be pretty just tell it straight out. I'm kind of against concrete. I know that sounds simplistic, but when you take a look at what concrete does, I know we've rolled back a little bit of the land usage. I'm a big supporter of the codes, but when you put a piece of concrete, whether it be on the street, whether it be a sidewalk, whether it be in a park, you have to understand the ramifications of that, and you have to take a macro and you have to take a micro look at what that does. And again, there are people that study this to a large extent. I think I would go back and look at the numbers and look at the results of that. Again, that sounds very simplistic, but I can tell you, I've in person seen places that had planned this out and places that hadn't. I've been in Key West. I understand what a salt fire is. I understand what happens after the fact. I understand what happens when you're in a critical situation where you don't have many options. So one of my key things that I would look at is making sure that Atlantic Beach had options, and that we build the infrastructure, we understand the problem, we do the analysis, we spend the money in a forward-looking way. Thanks.
Thank you. Dr. Waters?
Thank you. Yeah, this hits home. When I grew up in the west side of Jacksonville, I lived in an area that had a creek running through it. And 4 times in 8 years, we had floods, 2 and 3 feet of water in our home. The Corps of Engineers came in and they were able to replace a lot of our damages, but we could never sell our home. Who wants to live there? It became a flood zone. So I understand these people on Cavallo and Aquatic Gardens that are flooding all the time. It's very frustrating. It's financially burdensome, and I know that our city infrastructure has a plan for maintenance needs that's hopefully going to get funded. Bruce talked about the stormwater system, and that's part of the budget. Looking at, does this need to be maintained? Can it be maintained? Is it enough? And we need more than that to prevent this flooding. I don't know, but that's a job for the experts. I do have people that I know here that are buying a house, they're building a house, having to put in swells, having to put in pumps for the flooding. The parks, I think there's got to be a solution with the permeability to where we can help. I'm against concrete as you are, Bruce. I don't want this to be Disney World. I want the parks to be maintained and with security. And I think that if we can somehow provide a way for the water to drain and run off in these parks, I'm for it. But the sea level rise, I'm not sure how important it is. I really don't know how significant it is. But I know the city is working on this, and we can work on this and figure this out. So thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Goodrich.
Thank you. As I said before, this is really one of my main reasons and big issues for our community. Protecting our community for ourselves and our children is paramount. We are facing these issues now. We have stormwater drainage problems. We have sunny day flooding in a lot of areas, in several areas, and we have saltwater intrusion where our marsh trees are dying because now they're growing in saltwater and they can't do that. I have in the meetings that I've attended, the budget workshops and so forth, and listening to how our staff is working together to address these issues and reading the 2018 Stormwater Master Plan, I see that they're all working together to address these issues in a methodical way as finances allow for us to do this, taking the worst cases first and really just going after it one at a time. I think that they're doing a great job. They have a good handle on that. I do think, again, I talked about Steve Swan and putting together the vulnerability assessment and the adaptation plan coming next, and then the further down the line is the implementation program. I would support the staff in continuing to make sure that they're addressing the needs of our community and our stormwater drainage. We have issues, of course, Hopkins Creek drains in Neptune Beach, and Sherman's Creek drains in Jacksonville, the city of Jacksonville. So I would leverage my relationships with other city leaders and help in hopes that we could develop a solution that together as beaches communities, we can find a way to address the stormwater drainage. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next rotation will be Mr. Bull, Mr. Cashman, Ms. Goodrich, Dr. Waters, Ms. Glasser, Ms. Ray, and Mr. Carper. So this is about uniting our East and West Atlantic beaches. Mayport Road has been referred to in the past as the proverbial railroad track that divides East and West Atlantic Beach. Residents on the west side have expressed that they have not received the same levels of service or funding as the east side residents. What is your position on this issue, and what would you propose to do to unite the two beaches? Mr. Bowl.
Yeah, a tough question. First of all, I think a lot of the answers there stem from economic factors. I encourage what the city's doing as far as along Mayport Road, infusing some economic stimulus. I think that is in fact true. I would tell you that you go over there, I think part of the problem is we don't publicize enough over there. I'd like to see more representation, obviously. The other issue is I'm a proponent when you talk about a park, and Donner Park, let's go ahead and make sure that's the best park that we possibly can build. I think those citizens on the other side of Mayport Road are ready to be energized. Economically, if we can make any pathway to success over there, I'm for it. I understand that Mayport Road is really not an Atlantic Beach road, and the state has a lot to say with what happens there. But what they don't have a say are on either side, and I think we have to look at that as an energizing and making sure our citizens are giving every opportunity to succeed. and making sure, just as importantly, they know that. You have to, you shouldn't have to reach very far to understand that, Atlantic Beach is one Atlantic Beach. And however we can do to promote that, I'm all for it. But I think it starts with economic stimulus. And in any way, I think we all should make a point of spending here in Atlantic Beach, spending along the corridor, any way you can. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Cashman.
Well, I think this is a question that pretty much everybody can agree on, that the spending needs to be equal for the other side of Mayport Road. The biggest thing is we need to connect with those people and ask them how we can help them. That's what the commission is for. Reach out to homeowners organizations, the businesses, the churches. What can we do as the city to help them improve? We need to reach out to our realtors and have them help us promote the area. We need to, I don't know about tax breaks or anything along those lines at this point, but if we can do something that's going to increase the number of people who want to come to the Mayport Road area, then by all means we need to help them. The spending needs to be fair. Just because there's a road that splits the city doesn't mean that one side or the other should be neglected. They are all Atlantic Beach residents. They all vote. They pay their taxes just like the people in Ocean Walk. So needs to be fair and work with them all and do what's right for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Goodrich.
Thank you. I love this question. I have, in all the times that I've been out in the neighborhoods and knocking on doors and talking with people, I have noticed, can you guys hear me? Oh, okay, because I just got a message on my computer that I was signed out. I have been told and observed that it really is a tale of two cities. I think that I would be that additional voice and more representation on the commission in support of a united city. I'm running a nonpartisan campaign, and my belief that I have to, and it's imperative that we serve all of Atlantic Beach, not just the neighborhood that I live in. I would agree with the process that Brittany Norris has started with Complete Streets, bringing Mayport Road down from 6 to 4 lanes to make it more pedestrian and bike friendly. I would, again, be a voice for all of Atlantic Beach. I've heard some really great ideas. Instead of all these wonderful things that happen on the beach side, there's some things that we can do to engage over on the marsh side as well. I think that we have this fabulous Dig Local farmers market that happens now at Jack Russell Park. I would love to see a similar market happen over at Donner Park. So I could utilize all my skills in community engagement to make sure that we could get that going and that happens. Again, also another idea that I heard just the other night, which I thought was fantastic, was for 17 years, we've been doing the songwriters and acoustic night over at Adele Grage. Let's go ahead and have one of those on the marsh side. I think that would be a wonderful addition to the community and certainly make everybody feel more like one city. Beyond that, it would be just my representation to be another voice for all of Atlantic Beach. Thanks.
Thank you. Dr. Waters?
Yeah, thank you. I do agree with so much of that. And getting out and talking with Green Market folks that come out, they do feel left out. They, in really simple things like city leaving their garbage out for 4 or 5 days, not picking it up, or not being as consistent as they are on the east side of helping them with landscaping and edging the yards and things like that. It is the Indy 500, Mayport Road, and I agree with decreasing it to 4 lanes. And you have to support the businesses. I have a lot of friends and patients out there that have great restaurants, great businesses. I don't want to go to Safe Harbor if I can go to CNC. I mean, so supporting them and standing by them is because they're trying to make a living as well. And I have a lot of friends and patients that live on the other side of Mayport, in the west side, with very great small community neighborhoods, and I just want to. I've always wanted to see that area grow. It's got so much potential. I'm not sure why it is so slow in reaching its potential, but it has been forever. And anything that I could do to I was talking with someone the other day that said if we could just have a safe sidewalk where our kids go to Mayport Elementary, or if we could just have a grocery store that's we don't have to go to Publix or any other big drive to get to. So yeah, they have needs. They do feel left out. Anything that I can do to help, I'm here. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Glasser?
Yes, I'm so glad we're talking about this. There are a lot of great ideas out there. I will say that when I ran for mayor 3 years ago, I did it with the idea that I was going to serve all of Atlantic Beach. And if voters out there don't recognize that I have been so engaged in the community, I've been focused on Mayport Road, been focused on kids, how they get to school, and sort of the small businesses along the corridor, then I'll never get your vote if you don't at least acknowledge that I have been really working hard on this. So I'm just going to give you a list of bullet points here. One is in our Parks Master Plan, we do want to do a lot to improve Donner Park. The other passive parks there, they are beautiful. They are gems in our city. I'm very much engaged with the faith community. We have a lot of small churches on the west side. I go visit all of them. They know me. Their kids know me. We have a lot of really great partnerships. You mentioned the Green Market. This is something that the city manager and I brought to Jack Russell Park during the COVID pandemic, and we can certainly make that grow. There are festivals over there. Has anybody, Rick I know has, but has anybody been to the fall festivals, the toy drives? I mean, we have these wonderful events over there, movie nights. Our community centers, we have awesome community center directors. These people are tremendous role models for the kids over there. We're doing a Main Street forum for a temporary roundabout to see if that can maybe slow cars down on Main Street. We're getting $2 million in safety upgrades along the Mayport corridor, working with FDOT. We've got a road diet that has been approved by the Transportation Planning Organization that will include sidewalks and a redo under the overpass. I'm big about complete streets. I got the speed limit reduced from 45 to 40 through Atlantic Beach after a child was killed, not in Atlantic Beach, but going to Mayport Middle. I got a reduced speed zone there for that middle school. And I'm all about bike and pedestrian safety across Mayport Road. We are doing everything we can, given that it's a state road. This is a passion of mine. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Glasser. Ms. Ray?
So many good ideas. And I'm like Lisa and when I beat feet over on the west side, and, it's a repeated chorus of we feel left out, we were promised so much and they haven't delivered. And so, we hear that often. And I know there's been strides with some highlighting along Mayport Road, but let me, for me, again, an outsider that looks at things obviously very different than the other two candidates I'm running against is, why don't we just, is something as simple as just do a main corridor walkway, bike path, walk path, greenway path that ties the west side, the beaches, town center, and all the businesses. And so, have you ridden your bike along Plaza? If you have, your bike won't be happy. I have friends that live on the west side that say, they have to press the button to cross the street, then cross it back over on dangerous traffic. I mean, it's the simple things, guys. It's just, a lot of times it's just the simple things. And so, one of my big platforms is, this kind of goes outside of the circle, if you will, of the question, but, we need to have a better feedback system. How come all of us new candidates hear the same chorus from all of these residents, and why isn't this resounding in City Hall? I asked them, why haven't you told people? And they said, because, well, where would I report it? I've written them. Sometimes I get an email 5 days later. Sometimes I don't. There's no simple drop boxes. There's no easy, convenient, open opportunity for people to really tell us this stuff. And so, and there's issues on the east side. There's issues on the west side. I just think, again, I'm kind of running on, everybody can tell, I'm kind of no nonsense and straightforward. One of the things that our city would benefit from is just Let's get to the simple solutions. Let's have drop boxes. Let's have easy ways for people to tell us what their concerns are, and get city commission meetings back more efficient, where people really want to get involved and attend and engage.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Carper. Unmute, please.
Yeah, I'm going to start off by beating one of Bruce's drums here and talk about metrics. A little over 10 years ago, when the city was looking at making the commission seats district representatives, where you had to live in a district to be elected there, as Public Works Director, I did a study of capital spending over the previous 15 years. I don't remember the exact time frame, to see if the feelings that the West Side had were in fact true, that we were spending less money on them than we were spending on the east side of Mayport Road. I don't remember any of the numbers. It's too long ago for me. But it came out that per capita, our capital project spending on the west side was essentially equal to what we had spent on the east side. And I mentioned this at a previous commission meeting. The city needs to generate those numbers again to see where we're at. And if we're not being fair, then absolutely, we have to be fair. We have to spend the money over there. One of the issues that we're having in Atlantic Beach is workforce housing. Right now, most of our, quote, workforce housing is west of Mayport Road. Those are the people that do most of the real work here at the beach. So we need to provide places for those people to live. Lost my train of thought. Okay, I'm done.
Okay, thank you. Well, candidates, we are at the 8:16 mark. And so I want to obviously leave time for closing statements. And the order of closing statements will be Dr. Waters, Ms. Lisa Goodrich, Ms. Terry Ray, Mr. Rick Carper, Ms. Ellen Glasser, Mr. Frank Cashman, and Mr. Bruce Bowl. So, Dr. Waters, please lead us off.
Thank you again for having me. I just would like to say that in the last couple of months, this has been a very big learning curve for me. I have not been in political office like a lot of these candidates are. I'm not as fine-tuned as they are. But I will tell you that I can listen, and I can take what you tell me, and I can hopefully get a voice. I am a conservative person. I'm an honest person. I'm a very hard-working person. And if someone puts their trust in me, I'm going to carry it through as far as I can, whatever the restrictions of my office will be. I will do my very best to be city commissioner. It's also come up a few times in social media and things like that I'm too busy to do this job. Frankly, I would rather consider myself productive than busy. I have 2 girls in college now, one is senior in high school, so my schedule is getting a lot more freed up. And I love this town. I don't want to move out of this town. I've lived here for 26 years, and I'm about to move unless something changes, and that's why I'm running. Listen, I'll listen to you, I will stand up for you, and I'll carry it through, and I just appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Goodrich.
Thank you. Thanks for, again, holding this forum and for inviting me to participate. I've enjoyed it. I'm really proud of the nonpartisan campaign that I've been running to serve all of Atlantic Beach. I have experience, again, in the public realm, building consensus through community engagement. That is a strong suit of mine that I would bring to the job every day. I have time to engage. I have time to support our staff. I have time to put forth issues and implement a vision to meet and address these issues that really affect all of us. I'm already digging in. I'm meeting with staff to gain greater knowledge. I attend meetings. I attend workshops. I attend workshops and special sessions of the commission that happen in the middle of the day. I can hit the ground running. And I just look forward to serving my community on a deeper way. And I thank you for your time. And if you have any further questions that we didn't get to, or that you want to hear more about my positions, you can visit my website, or you can literally call me or send me an email. I'm happy to talk to anyone and everyone. Thank you so much, and I would appreciate your support.
Thank you. Ms. Ray?
So again, I echo everybody's thank you, Maria and the entire group, for hosting us. It's always exciting in Atlantic Beach politics, and this year, I guess, has not disappointed. As everybody watching can tell, and if you've heard me speak or talk to you on your front porch, you can tell I'm different. And I am different. And I guess it's kind of the bottom line is do you like the direction the city's going, or do you not? And if you don't, I'm your choice for solutions, to look for better ways to solve the city problems, because I'm kind of a people person, as everybody can tell. But, you know, I look at it, we were at a debate the other day, and I said, you know, every morning I promise every resident of Atlantic Beach, when my feet hit the floor, I will make a promise to you, the charter of the city of Atlantic Beach, and that is protect the peace and safety of everybody in this city. And so when I said my priorities earlier, safety first, neighborhood safety, crime, you know, the financials, let's face it, the city grinds because the financials fund it. And so any remiss in the financials will hurt you in your services. So again, I just, you know, I ask for your support. My website's terryray.com. I'd love for you to look at it. You know, some of the other candidates have viewed some of my ideas for a better Atlantic Beach. I appreciate them going through that. But, you know, I've studied everything to nauseam, and I can tell you I've got some great new, bold ideas that aren't driven by anything except for science, ideas, experience, and background. And let me just tell you, you know, it worked for the last 40 years of my life, so I'd love to do it here. I'd love your vote. I'd love your support, and I thank you for watching. God bless you.
Thank you. Mr. Carper?
Okay. I've lived in Atlantic Beach for over 20 years.
You might have some time.
I've worked for the city for over 10 years. I felt that was a real privilege for me. Candidate who has drafted and defended a budget for the city commission. My internet connection is unstable. Can you hear me? Can anybody hear me?
We can now.
Okay.
We can now.
I've written legislation that's been approved by the city attorney and approved by the city commission. I know this city better, I think, than the people currently on staff, just because I was there longer than anybody that's at the department head level now. I am a what you see is what you get, WYSIWYG kind of candidate. I will listen to you, and if I can help, I will help. If I can't help, I'll find what I can do to make things better. That may not be the answer you want, but I will help as much as I possibly can. I have never felt overtaxed in the city of Atlantic Beach. I'm including myself in this, the residents of Atlantic Beach have always demanded a higher level of service, and the city has provided that. That's something you have to pay for. Again, never felt overtaxed. I'm not overtaxed now. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Glasser?
Thanks, Maria. Again, when I ran 3 years ago, it was to serve all of Atlantic Beach. I've lived true to that pledge. It's been my high honor to serve the residents here, to promote our residential quality of life. And things were going pretty well without a lot of drama until the campaign started. And all of a sudden, I'm feeling that some people think that the city needs to be fixed or that we're broken. Well, I disagree with that. I think our quality of life is outstanding. I think we have a great team, and you obviously have a choice when it comes to election day. So Rick knows this because I've met with him many times. I think he is a suitable candidate. I think he's extremely qualified. He knows the city backwards and forwards. Love you, Rick, but I think you'd be a great city manager. And I would love to work with you, but I do think that I have the skills and the relationships and the partnerships. I've been in Tallahassee. I have great relationships with other elected officials and the beach mayors. I think that I'm the best choice. I disagree with Ms. Ray that the city's on a bad track. The issues that we are dealing with are real. And I'm sorry I didn't get to talk about parking really, because the city is working through these issues. I mean, I know people may disagree with that, but there is a commitment to work on this, but it has gotten very negative. And when people hear negative things, they get negative. So that's just not the way that I am. I'm a very positive person. I love this city. I look at it with a fine-tooth comb everywhere I go. I love our staff. I'm a realist. I just feel like we need to have a great team. We need to empower them to do the job. And then as elected officials, we do our job. And so with your support, if people like what they're hearing from me, I hope that they'll vote for me in this election. Check out my website and learn more. I want to thank my family for all their support and my team and all the residents. God bless you all.
Thank you. Mr. Cashman?
Well, first of all, thank you, Maria, and thank you to Beaches Watch for having this so that the people can get the information that we have to put out. I've been a beach resident for almost my entire life and have no plans of going anywhere. Probably one of the biggest things that I'll say is that I'll listen to each and every person and listen to all the sides. It's one of the things that I learned as a law enforcement officer is that you take in all of the information that you can and you make the very best decision that you can based on the facts and what you can and can't do. I would really appreciate the opportunity to continue my public service to Atlantic Beach. I know most all of the people in the city in one capacity or other. I just, again, feel that this is the next step for me, and I wish Bruce and each and every one the best of luck for the upcoming election. Just give me the opportunity, and I'll do the very best job that I can for you. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Bowl?
Well, I guess I'm last. I'm the only thing standing in between you and off a Zoom meeting. So I will try to make this short. First of all, Frank, I want to wish you personally the best of luck. I can't say enough about somebody that's done public service as you have. I kind of feel where you're coming from, and I appreciate that. I think what I bring to the table is kind of a unique view. I, in my job in the Navy, got to interface with different municipalities, and why that's important, I'd like to say that the candidates, the base that we have here across the board are solid. I think almost all the candidates would be a super pick. I've been in New Orleans and the parishes around there after a hurricane, and you really see what people are made of in an emergency. I've been in Key West after a hurricane and talked to the people that were there, and you can see real leaders and you can see people that weren't real leaders. And I think we've got a whole group of real leaders. I'm excited. I think I echo a lot of the sentiments. I raised 3 daughters here. That's what makes Atlantic Beach special to me. I lived in 13 places around the world and found Atlantic Beach, and I'm not moving. And so that's why I want to be here to make it better. And if I can function in any other capacity, I would. I already have. And I look forward to working with each and every one of you. And I don't look like you lose an election, your service is discontinued. I would love to continue to be involved and plan to be involved. I've got some unique background that I think I can bring to help the city. So I wish everybody the best of luck, and we'll see you out there, and get out and vote. Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you to all the candidates for participating in tonight's forum. Each of you bring such great diverse experience and background. and made it for a very lively forum. So thank you again for participating and being so candid with your responses. I also want to thank our Beaches Watch Programs Committee, who is really responsible for organizing the candidate forum. The video has been, the tonight's forum has been video recorded, and we will be posting a link to the video on our Beaches Watch website. So be sure to share that with those who were not able to view it live. Also, please be sure to visit our website at beacheswatch.com to check out the candidates' answers to our written questions on specific Atlantic Beach issues and concerns. They are more comprehensive than we were obviously able to cover in tonight's forum, so you will learn even more about their position on different issues. Also, we encourage our participants to please take our short survey at the conclusion of the forum. It just gives us great feedback and ensures that we are giving you programs that, that are meaningful to you. Also, we were not able to get to the questions via chat. The panelists were able to look at the questions, but we said that we would provide them with a copy of those questions so they would have an opportunity to respond directly if they so choose. If you would like to receive emails about beaches issues in our monthly programs, please provide your email address when you take the survey. And we always are inviting you to please join Beaches Watch. Your membership really helps us, really helps support us in our efforts. And all memberships received now are good through, good for 2021. And you'll also be entered in our early bird raffle held at our member social, which will be in the spring of next year. So early voting will be held Monday, October 19 through Sunday, November 1st, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the Beaches Branch Library. And as you know, the general election will be held Tuesday, November 3rd. Also, please note that your mail-in ballot must be received at the Supervisor of Elections office no later than November 3rd at 7 p.m. So please vote early or vote on Tuesday, November 3rd. Again, thank you, candidates. Thank you, participants. Stay safe on the campaign trail. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, candidates. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night and thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Beaches Watch.
Thank you.